welcome back to Boys and Ghouls Film Review, folks. I'm your host, Sarah Stephenson. This is my co-host, Mike Stephenson.
Hi, guys.
So tonight we are going to do our final review for this year, I should say, because we're getting close to December, so that means two things.
Jingle bells, right?
That goes without saying.
Okay.
And we will be going on our temporary leave until February.
Several weeks. Several weeks, month, whatever.
Yeah.
We need a break.
Yeah.
It's been a busy year for Sarah. She's been working on a film project, trying to keep you
keeping everyone
entertained
and making sure we get plenty of episodes out for all of you guys.
Exactly. We're doing 2 a week. It's pretty damn good,
Yeah, and we always keep keep busy. Anyway, so the movie we're going to review, which is a franchise more or less, and it's fixing with the whole theme we're going to be covering.
Bingle girls, Batman smells, Robin, later in egg.
Are you done?
No. Okay.
This one's called Silent Night, Deadly Night, that was released in 1984. And as we said before, this is a franchise that kind of went on for the next couple of years.
There's what had released in 1984. Then part 2 was actually made in 87, or at least in 87. And then in 89 we did another one. In 1990 did another one. In 1991 did another one. They were very tired, so we had to wait till 2012 to make another one.
Yeah, and that one was called just Silent Night. Now, there's something, before we get into the directors, actors, and whatnot, I should mention, guys, the first 3 of the Silent Night franchise are all connected, while the second, the 4th and the 5th and the 6th one are not so connected.
Yeah, the first 3 follows like a continuation, like a saga, but the other ones are sort of standalone-ish.
Yeah. Although the 4th and the 5th one, they do have a connection because they have the same actors return. Well, the same 2 actors for both of those movies connected into that one. So that's sort of a continuation for those 2 movies, obviously. But the rest are just all in different dimensions or different worlds.
And stuff like that there.
Anyway, as I said before, the first 3 are all connected. The other ones are more or less standalone type stories.
Now, having said that too, I think number 1 and number 2 released and went to cinema.
Yes, it did.
3, 4, and 5 went to home media, tape, VHS tape back in those days, and Laserdisc, and later on released on DVD. But I think the last movie, done in 2012, went back to the cinemas again, I think, if my memory serves me correctly.
Yeah, and so let's get into, I'll talk about the big story, the one that started off, and I'll go through the other ones, very briefly for all of you guys.
Well, actually, I'll talk about a couple of little things before we start.
Okay.
Now, Silent Night, Deadly Night, the first one, was made on a skinny budget.
Yep, it did.
And it made a profit. Okay, which is what you want to hear.
Yes.
Okay? Now, having said that, you've got a situation where you have, the first movie made a profit. The second movie, second film, didn't make a profit. And I'd say that was one of the reasons why they put the other one straight to home media. And then did another home media, and did another home media, and then they got it out of the cupboard and got dust of it, and decided to make a new one. And as far as I can see, it didn't make much of a profit.
Yeah.
However, we still think they're good movies.
Yeah,
Okay?
I mean, take a moment to watch them. Not all, maybe not all at once, but you may find something interesting there that you might like.
Yeah, better watch out. You might like something. No, I would suggest you watch the original first movie back in the 1984 one.
Yes.
Because obviously the first 3 are a continuing story. If you like it, then watch the other ones. Okay, don't just jump all over the place. Oh, I've got to copy this bit. No, halfway through a story. And But 4 and 5 and 6 are standalones. You won't have to go. Whatever.
Yeah. The fourth one is not my least favourite of this franchise, guys. But the other ones are pretty good.
The initiation one.
That one I didn't. It had a few loose points for me.
It was really wide of the mark, but
very average.
Yeah. Anyway, irrespective.
I think they were just mostly trying to get the titles to gain a bit of fame out of it. When I think about it, that's probably why they called it Silent Night, Deadly Night 4 of the initiation, and it deals with supernatural stuff. Has no connections to Christmas or the Santa killer.
Yeah, nothing. So I think it's
nothing sacred,
borrowed the
folks.
name to make a movie. So
anyway, as I said,
you want to start telling a bit of a story? I'm not going to mention actors because it's got all the different actors in different movies. Well, actually, what I will do is Sarah goes through though. I'll mention the producers and directors of each film.
Good point.
Okay, that way at least they get a bit of a look in. Now, the first movie, and which Sarah's going to talk about in a minute, was produced by Ira Barmak, I think it's Barmak, and directed by Charles Cellier Jr.
Got it.
Okay. Do you want to tell a story about that one, my dear?
As well. So the story begins with a family driving in their car, heading towards the mental facility.
Oh, that's right. I got to see Grandpa, he's lost his marbles.
Well, whatever. Anyway, they go there. They take their 2 youngest sons, a young 7-year-old Billy, I think it was, or
and
Bill.
Little Ricky, who's a little baby.
Little baby.
In a bouncer.
So while his parents are discussing the doctor, we're talking to the doctor, little Billy is left alone with his grandpa.
Who's supposed to be in a catatonic state, but he wakes up and tells Billy... that Santa is not just out to give out good presents to all the good boys and girls, but punishes them. Be better watch out.
And he scares the poor kid. I'm not surprised this kid has not
He should have let
his
pants where he was standing, honestly.
Yes. Anyway, after this, he tells his mum and dad about what he heard from Santa and about Grandpa, and he starts developing a fear of Santa because beforehand he was a little excited about meeting, of Christmas and stuff like that.
Would you like to go and sit on the knee of some guy who's going to kill you, maybe? No, I wouldn't think so.
Anyway, now that they've come back from this facility, he's now less than thrilled about the whole Santa macabre. Anyway, meanwhile, this was happening. A gas station man gets robbed, and this guy is dressed in a Santa outfit.
Funny, I don't know.
And he shoots him, and he gets into his car, and he eventually his car breaks down, and the very family we just talked about actually pull over and talk to the Santa, and he kills Daddy and rapes and murders Mummy. And Billy runs into the woods, and where the killer continues yelling, and we don't know what happens to this said killer. Then I think we cross over to 3 years later,
several years later.
Several years later, where we see both Ricky and Bill are now in an orphanage run by some nuns, obviously, and Bill is still traumatized by the experience. And it doesn't help that the head mother superior is a very stickler to punishment.
Yeah, she's really strict and stuff. Really nasty place.
And she picks on Bill the most because of the fact that he's still traumatized, especially during Christmas time.
He got a bit of a dark past, hey?
Yeah. Instead of helping him or sending him to give him therapy, she decides to beat the kid.
Well, no, not necessarily beating him, but to torturing him a little bit and locking him up in solitary top of the cupboards and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the usual stuff. Anyway, she also spots him watching 2 older kids or older teenagers making out, and those kids got probably beaten up, and Billy is also beaten up because of his
watching through a keyhole.
Evil watching.
Oh, not honestly, a little bit of voyeurism goes a long way, doesn't it, folks?
Yeah, he's also spotted when after having a nightmare inside his bedroom. He runs out of his room, and when the mother spirit spots him, she ties him down to the bed.
You're not going nowhere.
And he continues to struggle, feeling he's completely freaked out. And then on Christmas Day, he is forced to go sit on Santa's lap. I know what you're thinking. This is not the proper behavior of, getting him to realize that Santa's not a bad person. But
and he hits Santa.
Yes, he punches his lights out. Then after he runs into his room, we then cross over to another couple more years where he's now a teenager boy. One of the nuns, I think her name is Sister Mary. I think her name is. That's a common name, and she goes to a toy store to assign him a job, obviously. And they've tried several other places, so this was their last chance of making sure he gets refitted into a normal lifestyle.
And he's going quite good, actually.
Yeah, the couple of months has gone well.
Until Christmas.
Until December rolls around. And then when they're setting up for the Christmas, we see that Billy slowly... his trauma is starting to re-emerge, or at least I think the fact that if it was not treated, if he got treated for his trauma at a young age, he could become a normal person again, or at least gotten over it a little bit. Because there's no such thing as normal according to psychiatrists.
It's different.
Anyway,
look at Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah. He was normal-ish.
Yeah,
Not.
Right.
Anyway,
during, I think it was Christmas Eve, their Christmas Santa they hired, the Christmas actor, couldn't be available, so they end up tying Billy into the role. And what a mistake that was.
He looked so good in a red suit.
Yeah.
He didn't look really good. And he was reasonably good at the kiddies.
Yeah. And even though in the scene it was very funny where he told the kid that if she doesn't behave, she'll be punished. And
Santa won't take it lightly.
And even though the parents think, oh, he's so good for children, oh gosh.
That's our secret.
You have to watch the kids' expressions to tell you otherwise. Anyway.
Very well-behaved kiddies after that.
Yeah. Then later on, they're having their sort of...
a couple of drinks on Christmas Eve.
Sort of annual Christmas party they would,
on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, on Christmas Eve. And... of course, Billy's still wearing the costume, and they continue calling him Santa instead of his real name, which I think is just rubbing it in when I think about it.
Hi, Santa.
Anyway, it's not really right. Anyway, they're drunk, and Billy's thinking about his parents, and he's also his crush. He has
a crush on this girl in the shop. Yeah. She's quite a nice little thing.
She's also pulled aside and taken to the stockroom. Yeah, stockroom.
Stockroom with one of the other guys.
The guy tries to perv on her and tries...
No, he's just making out, kissing her, and he wanted to take it a bit further, and she didn't want it.
Yeah, Billy then follows them, and he witnesses what was going on, and he starts getting flashbacks to the past, and...
Yeah, the guy raping his mummy.
Yeah, and this kind of causes the evil Santa inside him to emerge. That's how I describe it. Yeah. And the Billy person we've been witnessing has gone at this point. Anyway, he kills the guy, and he also kills his crush because she rejects him and says he's a monster and stuff, and she dies, obviously. And he kills the owner and kills an elderly lady, obviously, who works there too.
Shop assistant, whatever, yeah.
And he then makes his way out into the street. And of course...
He's going back to the orphanage. He has some unfinished business.
Along the way, he also kills a teen couple who are making out. And he spares the little girl, obviously, who's like 12, and gives her a... what do you call it? Never mind.
I can't remember.
Not important.
I always watch a bit.
And meanwhile, while this is happening, Sister Mary, she comes to the toy store, and because after they, I guess when he was dressing as Santa prior to this movie, I think she knew deep down that this was going to be bad.
It's going to end badly.
Yeah, because he's not gotten over his trauma after all, as I said. Anyway, she goes to the store. She notices dead bodies, and I guess she reported to the police, where she tells them everything about what's happening, obviously. Soon enough, we then find out that Billy also kills a bunch of bullies who were stealing some guy's sled, and he chops his head off.
Oh, very nice. Good prosthetics.
Yeah, I agree. And then I think he kills. Let me see. Oh yeah, the police go on a search for him. Of course, they don't really get very many finds, because they even tried to accuse the father, who was climbing into his house, of being
possibly, but he found out wrong Santa.
That was a relief.
It could
have ended bad there in that for that poor little girl and her father. Anyway, soon enough, we soon arrive. The nun, Mary, Sister Mary, and the policeman.
Margaret Mary, actually.
Yeah, they actually try to phone the Mother Superior, but someone on the other end has the phone off the hook. I think it was one of the children who was playing with the phone, which
and didn't hang it up properly.
Anyway, it's around this time. It's Christmas morning, I think, and this is where the kids are opening presents and having fun. And of course, Mother Superior is not aware of what's happening. Of course, when one of the officers who arrives first on the scene, he witnesses a man in a red suit approaching the orphanage.
He's a real Santa Claus guy there for the kiddies.
And as he's approaching the kids who are just playing in the snow, he gets shot by one of the policemen. And we learned that that this is not Billy, because this man who approached them was a sort of priest, father, something.
I think he was a father, something. Oh, yeah. And he was a bit on the deaf side, so he couldn't hear the policeman.
Yeah, and so he couldn't respond to the gun or
he's ordered to stop
moving.
Yeah.
So anyway, they kind of killed an innocent man, and he was put into in an ambulance, and probably, I don't know, he's probably dead after all. I'm not sure. He was shot like two or three times.
Yeah, he didn't shoot him to stop him, he shot him to kill him.
Yeah, because the policeman who phoned in to the police to shoot on command, when they see him.
On sight.
Shoot on sight, that's the term.
Didn't say kill on sight. I mean, I don't always say, let's kill him, Take out a leg or two.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Just below the chest.
Slow it down. Slow him down. Blah, blah.
Well, my legs were shot. I wouldn't be going anywhere in a hurry.
The same policeman, he tells what he did to the Mother Superior, and she knows that what he's done is caused much more harm, because those kids are now traumatized by the experience.
But you shot a man out there, father so-and-so.
Yeah.
And never mind. So, let's move on.
Yeah. They then try to secure Well, he sticks around and tries to patrol the area, and of course he's the next one who gets killed off next.
Yes.
And
oh dear.
Yeah. Then we watch as Billy enters the front entrance to the orphanage, and he's about to approach Mother Superior with his axe.
And give her a present.
But before he could do that, the policeman and the and sister arrive, and he shoots Bam Bam into him, and we then watch as Billy slowly dies, and we slowly see Billy emerging and saying to the kids that they're safe and Santa Claus was no more.
Yes, however, standing right next to the corpse is
his brother Ricky, and he says to Mother Superior, "Naughty." And
guess what happens? Later on he takes out the family business.
Yeah. Now this is where the two other movies come into play, obviously, and where he takes over from his brother.
Well, actually, can I just say something? Second movie is actually called Part 2, inferring it is a continuation of the first story of his little brother as he got a bit older.
Yeah.
And he got traumatized by Christmas.
Yeah, right. Anyway, in that one, it's mostly flashbacks to the story.
Yeah, and that's what I didn't like. They spent half it in flashback.
Yeah.
So I didn't like the second.
Go on.
It's not all about you all the time.
Shh,
okay. And I said I was going to tell about the directors and producers.
Go on.
Thank you. No, I didn't like it because they spent half it in flashback, and I thought, well, they could have actually tacked this story onto the end of the first movie and made it 30 minutes longer. Yeah.
Agreed.
So anyway, what I can say, this one's actually produced by Lawrence Applebaum and directed by Lee Harry. There you go. You may tell a bit of a story.
Yeah, so the next one deals with Ricky, who is now in his 20s. 20s. And in this one, he is being interrogated by a psychiatrist who asks him about the murders he'd committed and the murders his brother committed, obviously.
Yeah.
And by the time he finishes his story about how he becomes the next killer and stuff like that, he kills the psychiatrist and plans on killing the mother superior who causes him his own trauma.
Well, yeah, because this is responsible for his brother's death and for her his incarceration and everything else.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, his previous plan was to kill her.
Vengeance be mine, say Ricky.
Oh, yeah. So, the next one after that, which, Mike, could you tell us about the directorship?
Okay. The number 3 movie is called Silent Night, Deadly Night 3. Gee, better watch out. Okay. Now, that one was produced by Lawrence Applebaum again, and Monty Hellman was the director. There you go. Carry on, Macduff. Yeah.
Right. Who's Macduff? Who's Macduff?
I don't know.
Anyway, so that one deals with Ricky, who's in a coma, and it's an interesting story, this one, because it makes me think of Hansel and Gretel. That's where I think about the story a bit, where in this one. So anyway, this girl is who's got the psychic powers, tries to contact him in his sleep.
No, she's part of an experiment at the university or the hospital or whatever. Ricky is in a coma.
Yes.
Because he's been shot.
He's been shot,
and he's been in a coma for a couple of years. But his brain's selective, and the doctor's trying to find whether a good psychic using electronic devices and whatever, EEGs or EEGs, whatever.
ESP.
But the machine's on her.
Okay, sorry, my bad.
To help make contact to Ricky's subconscious mind to stimulate him. Interesting, isn't it, folks?
It is very interesting. So, anyway, our story goes that he gets contacted by this girl who's blind, but she has his powers. And when she was done for the day, she plans on going to spend Christmas with her grandma and her brother and his girlfriend.
Little Red Riding Hood, huh?
As I said before, this is like a callback to this is more like Little Red Riding Hood now that I think about it, not Hansel and Gretel. I was thinking of something of a fairy tale where it deals with the big bad wolf going to grandma's house first.
And that's what actually happens. So somehow or other, in the last session before she leaves the hospital, something's triggered in his subconscious mind. Now he starts to wake up. Mm-hmm. But he's not totally fully functioning. He's more on subconscious mode.
He's sort of like Frankenstein mode.
Yeah, a bit like Frankenstein. A very good analogy.
Yeah, there was even a callback to Frankenstein from a Boris Karloff type movie.
Yeah, there was Boris. I can't remember the name. It wasn't The Ghoul. It was another one. It had Jack Nicholson in it. I can't remember the name of it. Yeah,
it's one of those. But again, as I said before, he kind of walked a little bit like a Frankenstein type of character.
Stiff,
very stiff and stuff like that.
I'm like that every bloody morning.
But it doesn't stop him from, killing and stuff. And whenever he sees something red, like either a red hat or someone dressed in a Santa Claus outfit, he responds in
a negative way.
Anyway, he sees Laura, that's the name of the girl, as a bit of something that he wants from her.
Yeah, not necessarily to kill her, because you got a mental link with her.
Yeah. And this link continues. Like this gets him to get to the house first, like the wolf going to the house first, like
because he got a link with her mentally. He got part of her memory, so he knows where to go. Interesting concept.
Yeah, somehow whatever powers she had, or memories she had, in her mind, may have been moved to his.
Exactly.
Anyway, they eventually fight him. He loses, and we don't know what happens to him after that. Obviously, we assume that he may have been recaptured and placed back in the hospital. We don't know because they don't say. They just say that they found one survivor who was probably it's either her brother or him, so we can't really be sure at this point in time.
Yeah, we've got no idea.
We have no clue at this point. It's assumed that it is him. Oh, I should mention, the guy who's playing Ricky in this one is actually Bill Moseley. You may know him from 1,000 Corpses in the Attic, in that 100 Corpses, the movie that was done by Rob Zombie.
Yeah,
and he's also did one of he did 2 of the Chainsaw Massacre movies, obviously.
What part did he play that?
Oh, he played one of the brothers or cousins who had a metal plate in his head.
Oh,
and
okay.
in the 3D one, he played Leatherface's, I guess, either brother or father. I'm not sure.
Oh, yes, I think you said his father when he had the makeup on and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mask on or whatever.
Yeah, I gotta admit, Billy Moseley is an awesome person. He's great at doing these types of roles.
He's a creepy dude.
Anyway, the next movie
wait a minute, it's my bit.
Is the 4th one, the
Initiation
one.
Initiation one. Now, this one was produced by Richard Gladstein and directed by Brian Usna.
Yeah, this one, as I said previously, guys, is my least favorite of the ones.
Yeah, it's really got nothing to do with anything to do with Christmas or Billy or Ricky. It's not a bad movie, but it just doesn't follow the franchise properly.
Yeah. No. Clint Howard, who makes appearance in both this movie and the 5th movie, is both called Ricky, but I don't think it's a callback to these movies.
No, it's not. Yeah.
Anyone can be called Ricky. You just have to
Lucille Ball's little son in the Lucy Show is Little Ricky.
Exactly. So again, as I said before, this is a separate story, obviously, and this one didn't have a very close connection to Christmas. Obviously, this one did deal with supernatural type stuff.
Yeah, cults and everything else, and
witches and stuff.
I know it's a witches cult who worship Lilith, Adam's first wife. Aha.
Ooh. Anyway, it's about a woman who's a reporter or trying to be a reporter, and
that was Kim Levitt played that.
Yeah.
No, Kim Levitt. Neith Hunter was the actress. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so she decides to do a story about this woman who gets. But actually, she threw herself from a building and was badly burnt.
And the police weren't investigating it too much. Yeah. As she thought she'd do a bit of investigative reporting for the newspaper, the tabloid that she worked for.
Yeah.
In her spare time.
Yeah, it doesn't go so well because all the people who talk to her tell her to hand it over to some experienced writer who's a man.
I would have.
Attitude.
No, because what happened to it would have been better.
Anyway, so she uncovers something unusual about this sort of story.
The link to Christmas had to do the ritual on Christmas Eve.
Ah, yes.
That's the only link.
Yeah. Anyway, there's no reason to explain why at Christmas. I don't know. Anyway, she ends up getting nearly close to being initiation into this cult.
Yeah, they'd put drugs in her and stuff.
Yeah, they gave her
did some spells and stuff, and if she didn't follow through, she'd incinerate like the other person did.
Unfortunately, she was able to transfer it over to the head witch, and I don't know what happens after that.
Well, she caught fire and she burnt to a crisp.
She burnt and all that stuff, and it doesn't really say whether or not that means that the witch.
The head witch died, and this girl here got away.
Yeah, and she was able to save her boyfriend's brother from getting burnt.
Yeah, they want him to be a sacrifice.
Yeah. Anyway, then we get to the 5th movie.
The next one, which is called Silent Night, Deadly Night Surprise 5, The Toy Maker. Now, this one here is produced by Richard Gladstein, same guy before, and Brian Usna. So
he must have liked Clint Howard so much he decided to invite him back for another movie.
So the director of the last one was co-producing this one, and they brought in a new director, Martin Kitrosser. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I seem to recall in this one, Clint Howard didn't have a very big role in this one, obviously.
No, he was a spare Santa Claus.
Yeah, so he didn't play a very big role. Or maybe the director didn't like it very much.
However, we have a good role here. Yeah, do you younger guys remember Mickey Rooney? He's in this one. He plays a toy maker.
And there's a lot of Pinocchio references in this one.
Mickey Rooney plays a toy maker. His first name is Joe. Last name is
Petto.
P-E-T-T-O. Now, in the Pinocchio story, his daddy's name was Geppetto. So, And there's a little guy running around here who's called Pino. Now, Pino could be short for Pinocchio.
Yes. Anyway, it's interesting, this one, because in this one, it deals with a little boy who, not named Ricky, so you guys know.
An ordinary child.
Yeah, who witnessed his father being murdered by a killer toy. That's probably the better way I could call it.
A toy was delivered to the front door.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was intentionally. It's probably
intended
for a little boy, but Daddy opened it.
Yes.
And the toy killed Daddy while the little boy watched.
And thanks to this traumatic event, this little boy could not speak for throughout this movie.
Yeah, and here's another interesting point, though. This guy who was his father was a stepfather, and wasn't a very nice man anyway.
Well, he wasn't intentionally a stepfather. He was more of a, I don't know if I call it a stepfather because his wife was having an affair with her first boyfriend, and they part ways. And she then decided to marry Tom and said to him, "Guess what? I'm pregnant with your child," and didn't bother to mention it's not yours legally.
I'm not quite sure. I don't
know if it's possible.
I don't know if she's having an affair or anything. You're just somebody. She had sex with the other guy. She didn't think he was going to want to be settling down, so she found somebody else.
Yes.
So that's why I said stepfather, okay?
Yeah, I can never
Move
be sure.
on.
Anyway, her son is pretty much traumatized, and he cannot talk throughout this movie. And thanks to witnessing...
And keep away from presents.
Yeah. He gets another sent to him, and of course... while his mother was busy talking to a friend, who's the same lady from the fourth night, the other movie, obviously I mentioned, and he actually takes it out to the garbage, garbage tip, obviously, and the lady's son, not adopted son, Lani, finds it, and it's actually rollerblades. Seeing as this is 90s, and rollerblades would have been very popular back in those days.
Roller skates or rollerblades?
Rollerblades. I know my skates back in the day. Anyway, he takes them out, and they have these rockets attached to them.
Yes, built in them somehow. So when you get in it and start moving, you really moved. And guess what happened to the little boy?
He ends up getting crushed, but nearly ramps into a car.
And he's not very well.
And he's placed into a hospital. And there, later on, I should mention, guys, throughout this movie, there is a lot of people trying to figure out who's the killer, who's sending these gifts. At one point, Derek's real father comes to the door with a real present, and we keep assuming maybe it's him sending them. Because
we didn't know. Is he a naughty guy?
Yeah, he also bought some presents, toys from Geppetto's shop, and opened them up, and even gave one of the toys to his landlord, I think it was. And the landlord kind of comes to life and kills his landlord.
Yeah, this guy, I can't remember his name, he bought him to check and to find out if there was anything wrong with them. And he couldn't find anything wrong with them, or he had this one and he hadn't had a chance to check this one yet.
No, it was in the box still, guys.
Yeah, but it's big, a bit like a snake or a big critter or something.
Yeah.
And
it would look like a centipede. That's the better word.
A big centipede, and it kills the motel manager in the car on the way home.
Oh, yes.
Very tastefully done too.
Yeah,
I won't tell you how.
He also tells his love interest. They also meet in the parking lot, and at first she runs away, but then she, finally gives up and decides to embrace him, cuddle him, and hug him and kiss him, and then doing the other stuff that comes
into chunga later on.
He finds out I think he knew that Derek was his son, and he wants to be part of their lives, even though she thinks this might be the worst time because her son's got trauma, and he may not want to have this added to his little at this time because it's the wrong timing. So she and him, they make out, and while this is happening, her babysitter, who's babysitting Derek, his boyfriend's over, and they try to do the same thing. In Derek's room, no less. Because I should mention, Derek has been sleeping with his mother in his room.
He doesn't like sleeping in his room because that's where that toy has been put.
Yeah, I should mention.
Daddy.
Yeah, I should mention Pino. He's often sneaks into their house, and it does beg the question whether any of those other toys in his room have been booby trapped.
You never know, folks. Hey.
Yeah. Then we find out that Pino is being abused by his father. I should mention.
Not very nice. Hey.
Yeah. And at one point, he even got thrown down the stairs, which begs the question, what happens to him then?
Yeah, but he went all silent, didn't he?
Yeah. We then find out that Geppetto kidnaps Derek and takes him to his toy shop or whatever. And his mother, Derek's mother, and her lover come to the house, and they see what happened to the babysitter. She got really damaged because of the dangerous toys, obviously.
Yeah, they're messy.
Yeah, and we don't know if some of the dangerous toys are still up there. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Anyway, so Derek's mother goes to Geppetto's place, and so does her lover, her boyfriend, or ex-boyfriend. And there they kind of find out the truth, where we find out that the real Geppetto, he was murdered.
Yeah, that the previous day by
his son.
Pino.
It turns out Pino turns out to be a robot or cyborg.
Yeah, a bit like Pinocchio.
And he then goes on
made to be a real son.
Yeah, he's been sending Derek these toys because he wants Derek's mum as his mum.
Yeah.
And lover. That's probably the worst part about it. I won't go there. It's just so wrong, this part. Yeah, it's like having sex with a Ken doll.
Yeah, no penis. Oh, so who said that? Okay.
Who said that?
Who's that?
Who said that? Anyway.
He doesn't have one. He's a robot, you know?
Yeah, as I said, like a Ken doll. Or a mannequin or whatever. Anyway.
Exactly.
Then Derek's mum and her lover, they fight him and destroy him, and then the couple and their son head off into the sunset
and live happily ever after.
And then that's the end of that movie. So moving on to the final movie on our list.
The final movie. Okay, right, here we go.
Which is
number 6, surprisingly, and it's just called Silent Night.
Yeah, I think that they probably wanted to change the name to make sure there's no reference to this one, obviously.
Anyway, here we go. All right, producers. They're getting extra people involved here. We've got Shara, S-H-A-R-A, Shara K, Phyllis Lang, and Richard Saperstein were the producers, and Stephen Miller was the director. Aha.
I should mention Malcolm. What's his name? Malcolm McDowell.
Malcolm McDowell. Yeah.
He makes an appearance in this one.
I like Malcolm.
He plays.
He's interesting.
He's an interesting sheriff, if you can call him that.
I like Big Tank Girl.
Yeah, he's weird in this. He's got some very weird dialogue in this one. Like he's supposed to be.
He's supposed to be a good policeman and seasoned policeman, yada yada yada. But he's a bit rough around the edges and takes shortcuts.
Very stupid ones.
He's not. He's a sheriff. Sorry, yeah. Sheriff Cooper.
Yeah. In this one, it deals with a new Santa Claus killer comes to town, and in this one we don't know his identity till the very end, obviously. And in this one, he's targeting yet again naughty people or bad people, and a few policemen are baffled by this, trying to figure out who the likely Santa is. I should mention there is a Santa parade in this movie, so this will confuse and get them really wind up who might be the Santa killers.
But here's one thing. He's actually doing a Mr. Saw to a certain degree, because he is actually targeting naughty people, not just, I'm going to kill this person because because I don't like him. No, he's picking on people who don't deserve a nice thing at Christmas time.
Yeah.
So he's taking care of them.
I also think that his first kill was intentional, so that the one of the deputies was sort of, what's her name, Bradmore? Yeah, that's her. She's a female detective, policeman or deputy.
It's Brady Moore.
Yeah, Brady Moore.
Brady Moore.
And I think him killing her was the intention to make sure so she's kept on duty while he goes ahead and kills her own father at Christmas time.
Exactly right.
My theory, anyway.
Possibly.
But again, the other stuff like, how did he knew that much later he also killed a 13-year-old spoiled brat?
Yeah,
How did he knew that
she was really nice, little creepy. I mean, yeah, she's a little spoiled brat. Mum's trying to take some heart pills, and she knocked them out of her hand, saying, I want to go to the mall, right? Blah, blah. Yeah, she's been a real pain in the bum. Yeah, she is going she deserved to snuff it.
Yeah,
honestly,
she was killed by a cattle prod, I think it was.
Yeah, I think a cattle prod in the chest, and he held it there until she was
foaming at the mouth.
Foaming at the mouth and dead on the floor. Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
Works for me.
Also, the killer in this one, he leaves a package at each crime scene with a lump of coal inside it.
That's interesting. So no dangerous toys or anything, just a signature saying, lump of coal, you're being very naughty.
Yeah. He also targets some people who are taking photos of, photos.
Yeah, some porno
photos.
Filmmakers or
photos.
Weren't doing some work in a motel, so he knew where they were, so he went there and killed them.
Yeah.
But wait a minute, there's a really good-looking blonde there. It happens to be
the mayor's daughter. Who's dressed like,
Mrs. Claus on a really, really good day.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, or at least Mrs. Claus on her second honeymoon. Get my meaning?
When Mrs. Claus is a young, hot blonde.
Yeah. Anyway, she and her father and her boyfriend get killed next. Much later on in the story, obviously. Yeah. The rest of the time, we are trying to figure out who the police...
Was the mayor killed?
Yeah, the mayor. He got strangled.
That's right. Yeah, he got strangled. Yeah, I know she got killed and her boyfriend did.
Yeah, different times, obviously.
Yeah, not quite the same time, yeah. Same house.
Same house. Different minutes, obviously. Anyway, his youngest, I think a 12 or 10-year-old, doesn't get killed, but she gets a candy cane.
Yeah. Nice little girl, but...
Yeah, despite being targeting people who are bad. I should mention, there's a tiny bit of an urban legend attached to this one again. In this one, it indicates about how a man whose wife left him for another man.
Several years earlier.
Yeah, and he goes on a killing spree, killing her in the process.
Yeah, he followed his wife was having an affair, and he made a homemade flamethrower, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he went to where he was having a party or social engagement. And he went there, and everyone ran out, and her boyfriend ran away. So he set fire to his wife using the flamethrower.
We don't know the identity of him.
And a policeman shot him.
Yeah.
But wait a minute, there was a little boy sitting in his utility or whatever, his car. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so that part about the angry husband, that was part of their thingy wing, and of course they just call it an urban legend. Even though I keep wondering how many years does it take to make it into an urban legend?
Well, as long as it takes, I don't know.
I mean,
how long's a piece of string?
The Bunnyman story was pretty much an urban legend,
how many
according to some people.
How's that?
True. Anyway, this is just an urban legend, and they think there's no connection, obviously. Anyway, then eventually, let me see, the next person who gets killed would be, let me see. Oh, yeah, actually, they kind of finally found someone who they thought it fits the description of who might be the Santa killer.
He was also a naughty guy, but he wasn't the right naughty guy.
Yeah. He turns out to be a very loud, very not so respectable man, obviously.
He's right royal pain in the bum.
Who just blabs about Santa Christmas about
being... And they arrested him and put him in jail. Bad place for him on Christmas Day because that's when Santa was coming.
Yeah. Anyway, she then kills another guy who supposedly gave the drugs to the said porno photographer, obviously. And there she discovers another red package that possibly came from the Santa killer, and she finally figured out that her father was next on this killer Santa's hit list.
Exactly.
And she goes home, which is where her father was potentially going to be at, and we find his head lopped off. I think it is. And her mother...
So he's sitting in his lounge chair watching television, but his head wasn't there.
Her mother has survived and was not hurt or anything. I think
she was hiding in the cupboard going...
Yeah.
Totally off her face, yeah.
We then find out that the Santa has gone to the sheriff's department, and he eventually arrives, and this is where they use lots of red and green filters.
Yeah, nice and... No, it wasn't filters, actually, it was different lights they're using in the rooms. Like a red light in one room and green light in the other room.
I should mention...
like Dario Argento did in his movie.
I should mention, guys, when they did the flashback for the Urban Legend story, it had an interesting look, because most of the time it's in black and white, but with the Santa's uniform and some other stuff, it showed it was red, and it was kind of a good, balancing act when you think about it, Mike. I mean, most of the time people have told me in the past that it's always good to make flashbacks in black and white.
Yeah, flashback. I think all of the flashbacks were in black and white.
Yes.
And the rest was in colour. Yeah.
Yes, but this had a good balance, using the Santa's outfit as a bit of, to make
and obviously, keep it. It's a nice bright colour, isn't it, folks?
Yeah. She then arrives there and she fights the Santa and tries to find her friend, who's a sort of secretary for the police, obviously, working as a secretary. The two other policemen, including the Malcolm one, has been killed by this evil Santa. And, of course, she takes out his flamethrower and kills him. We think he's dead, but he's not.
Well, he got a bit toasted, but later, after that, right at the end of the movie, you see a guy sitting in a ute, a vehicle, and his face is burnt, and he's driving off to go somewhere.
Yeah, he looks like he's had a waffle iron, pressed up into his face.
Looks like half and half out of Batman.
Anyway, he looks at a photo from his late father, and his wife, obviously, and we then get the completed flashback of how his son was witness to his demise.
He was the son of the original guy who was the Urban Legend. So
and how her father, who was a policeman, a police deputy at the time,
he might have been the guy who actually shot him.
Yeah, and of course, then we watch as the Santa killer drives away out of town, and his fate unknown. Yeah,
waiting for a sequel. We haven't had the sequel yet.
Nope.
Don't think it's coming.
Now. I don't think so, because they're planning on... It was mentioned that on March the 21st, 2021, that it was going to be a sequel, but
haven't done it yet.
It hasn't happened.
Unless
they've decided to put an end to it.
Now, here we go. A few things. The reason why the first one made a profit but didn't make a good profit, because of the following. Okay, the first film was done... the first two films were released theatrically.
Yep.
Now, Silent Night, Deadly Night was acquired for distribution, and it was released theatrically. Blah, blah. However, the film received harsh criticism by the public, who believed it to be an attack on Christmas.
Oh, brother.
Protests at theatres showing the film occurred throughout the nation. At its East Coast premiere at the Interborough Quad Theatre in the Bronx, in New York City, over 100 picketers stood outside in protest of the film, singing Christmas carols and holding signs. And it says, though the film was a financial success, TriStar decided to pull advertisements for the film and scrapped a planned theatrical run on the West Coast. So that would explain why it didn't get a good box office, is because these stupid protesters.
Yeah. You think they would just let it go. Well,
the point is,
like that.
If they don't want to see it, don't go to the theatre. Do not go to the cinema. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. Crap, yeah.
Just because half the people out there may have disliked it, other people may have liked it.
A handful of people. Look, 100 people out of how many millions of people live in the United States?
Good point.
That's what I'm saying. A couple hundred people? I mean, if it's a gay and lesbian rights sort of thing, it'd be thousands of people, and you'd understand something. But a couple hundred people doing a few pickets, it's less than that. 0.1% or 0.01% or less, or 0.0001%, but tough.
Yeah, it's just like if they picked that. Well, I don't know what I mean. There was like a lot of movies that even had a horrific approach. Usually took place at Christmas. Like there is another movie I think it was that happened years before this one, which was from the anthology series Tales of the Crypt, which had its one story of it was about a woman who killed her husband during Christmas time, and it was witnessed by a Santa killer. While it may have not been gory as Silent Night, Deadly Night, but it's there in
But anyway, just getting back to this, I mean,
you think about it.
A handful of people didn't like the movie, so they protested. And again, I'm sorry. If they don't like it, just don't go to the theatre. Just put write a letter to the editor of the newspaper. Do something. Do something. I mean, people make a movie to make money. You've got to pay the actors, etc., etc., etc. Blah 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 blah. And you say, "Oh, we've made a movie here. A lot of people like this sort of movie. Oh, you can't show it anywhere." And that's one of the reasons why the first two movies went cinema, and the rest of them went down the rabbit hole. Now here we go.
Also, another movie. I remember another movie that was sort of similar. Had a similar title, like Silent Night, and I think it was called Bloody Night. I think that one was another callback to horror and murder and stuff like. No one ever bothers to actually look and realize that there was more than one horrific Christmas movie out there.
But anyway, first movie made a profit. The second movie didn't make a profit. But they still made the other ones and went straight to home media. Now, when the profits on here don't tell me anything about home media sales, I would like to think they sold a few, okay? So they didn't actually go out of pocket. Otherwise, they would have made all the other ones.
True.
So, it's really weird how the minorities have a say in what goes on, Majority rules. Hello, guys. Anyway, talking about that. Now, you want to say, where do we get it?
Yeah, where do we get it?
I'm glad you asked. Now, before I say anything, if you go looking for it, whether through eBay or Amazon or wherever you go, be careful. These are old. You will have VHS. You will have Laserdiscs, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So, be mindful of that. And also, as Sarah just said, there are similar named films. There is Silent Night. There's that other one, Silent Night, Bloody Night, or whatever. That's also, there are similar movie names, but if you go onto it, Sarah will give you a link, possibly, and you go on their site and have a look at Wikipedia or somewhere or other and look at the right product. Get the dates, get the name, and go and hunt for your product that you want. Now, eBay, for sale. They're there. Amazon, rent or for sale. So there you go. You can get it. I would suggest, like I said, watch the first one first. Don't just grab one of them, because it is an ongoing story for at least for the first three. So, So anyway, now do you want to say something?
Guys, bear in mind that, as I said before, you're going to find a lot of people back in the 80s that whenever a movie that breaks away from the usual, stuff and tries to target something new, you're going to find that there are going to be a lot of people who may have hated it at the time.
Well, actually, here's something.
Like when they did the Banana Splits. That was a movie that was based off a TV series way back when, and if it happened probably back then, say say in the 80s, people would probably pick at it even back then when you think about it. Well,
here's something. Two analogies. Okay.
Go ahead.
When The Passion of the Christ came out, right?
Yes, it did.
Right, that was supposed to be a real look at, as real as possible of what would have happened. Okay. Now, I didn't see a lot of Italians queuing up saying, oh, it puts us in a bad light. I didn't see a bunch of Jewish people going, oh, it puts the Jews in a bad light. Yeah, hello. And that's a pretty bad, I mean, they brutalised a guy and killed him. Guess what? Christmas, Easter, no one said squat. So what happens to these wonderful Christian people who picked this movie? Funny, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that none of them pick apart the fact that they keep going on about how Santa. I'm just gonna put it out there, guys. Even though everyone knows that he's came from Saint Nick and all that stuff.
Well, the stories are numerous, but
it has been changed because for turning him into from an ordinary saint person that we've all
Saint Nicholas,
to a fictional character who lives in the North Pole, which makes less sense as when you think if he lived in
I believe in the
LA.
elves that they're related to dwarves.
Yeah, but why did they pick the North Pole of all places? When I think about it,
Superman's got this first fortress of solitude in the North Pole.
Because originally Saint Nick came from somewhere else. He didn't come from. He came from a village.
Northern Hemisphere, not Norway. Holland. No, I can't remember. Europe somewhere.
As I said before, if they're so worried about a fantasy character like Santa Claus, they should not worry so much about it. Unless they're worried that this stuff will get noticed by little children and get nightmares over it, all that stuff.
But they're not going to be. If any people let the little kids watch this sort of stuff, they need the heads read,
Yeah, I remember a lot of people who kind of. But then again, when I think about this, even in the 80s and the 70s, at the time, they didn't have a classify M or a ratings.
They did have ratings.
They had ratings, but they were still halfway through the 70s. They didn't. They
still had ratings.
They had a different opinion about what was scary and what should be seen by audiences.
When I was a child, considering my dad died when I was 12 years old, my dad took me to the theatre to see Psycho.
Yes.
And I must have been about 10 years old. And I must admit, it was the last time I had a shower. Okay? Now, but I remember when I was about 3 years old going to local theatre, cinema, and I saw a movie like Godzilla.
Okay.
It was a British one called Gorgo.
Okay.
And that was the same sort of thing, still framed, big dinosaur chewing up people and whatever, and trashing buildings. And I was about 3 at the time, and I went to the cinema to see that. Now, I must admit, no one really cared too much back in those days. Yeah, you're okay if you're older brothers and sisters. Yeah, you go in. Well, there you go, matinee. Yeah, but I shouldn't have seen a monster like that eating people and crashing buildings.
Yeah.
Even though it was a bit tongue-in-cheek, not for a kid, it's not.
Yeah. So the point I'm trying to make, guys, is that these movies, they're new back in the day, and the fact that anything that's child-related, I remember years ago when they made, they made a sort of a Jim Henson puppet type movie. You may know what.
Dark Crystal?
No, not Dark Crystal. I'm referring to a newer one that came out not too long ago, where it dealt with murder and crimes and stuff like that. And while it was more of a comedy, but still, it kind of
Muppet Murders or something or other.
Something murders, Murder on Happy Time, something whatever.
Okay.
And it kind of. When they did it, they kind of put it on the posters. They kind of mentioned Sesame Street, and that would have put Sesame Street and in a bad place.
Yeah,
trying to
got killed.
Oh yeah, it's called Happy Time Murders.
Don't bring your kiddies here. No.
Yeah, it was not really a good movie because it kind of put the fans of Sesame Street, in a bad, thinking it was not really good, meant for this sort of thing. Anyway, it was just, I think it was probably just the worst timing they could have thought of, or the fact that taking something, as I said before, and trying to turn it into something a little bit more for more of a an audience that was not ready for it.
Okay. Let's grade it.
So let's grade. Should we grade all the episodes or movies?
Well, I'm going to grade the first movie separately,
yes.
or for A and B, but for probably more A. Yeah, the first movie.
Yeah.
We've got a two-parter. And then the series as a whole.
Okay.
Now, I'll take the first movie, the 1984, whatever it is. That first movie, I've got to give that 8.5 to 9.
I'm going to give that one 10.5 out of 10 myself.
But as a series, because the series didn't hold up very good after that.
Yeah.
I mean, the second movie with flashbacks and other things, so I'm going to drop it down from 8.5 to 9 to about 8.
Yeah, I'm going to rate it 6 out of 10 myself because
where's your Christmas spirit?
Anyway, I just mean the half of it was just the same footage, just retouched with a few new stuff here and there, but didn't really show me anything new under the sun. The next one was...
No, I didn't say that. I said grade the first movie and then the series as a whole.
Okay.
Not the second movie.
Okay.
As a whole series, as a
franchise, I would probably... It's a little hard because, as I said before, the fourth one didn't catch many flies with me, obviously.
Right.
And I was disappointed. I'm not really... I wasn't won over by the Deadly Night one, the last one, obviously. I wasn't won over, obviously.
And the initiation wasn't that good?
That's why I said the fourth one I didn't like. Second one, nah, not too...
That was flat.
It was flat with me.
Yeah.
The third one, not too bad. I like that Red Riding Hood approach with a little bit of supernatural powers. So that's not too bad. And the fifth one was not too bad with the whole Pinocchio type angle. That was different. It added something.
Nice standalone
it added
feel to
something
it.
good there. So I'm gonna probably, as a whole, I think I'm gonna probably make it. I think about 8 out of 10. Sorry.
Yeah, about the same as
I mean, it was just going from the first movie. It was going high, but slowly it started going.
It's like Planet of the Apes.
It was slowly kind of doing it like one of those when you go to a doctor's office and the line is going up and down, indicating that it's not going so good,
and
not
it goes
going
flat
bad.
line.
And then it goes flat.
It's like Planet of the Apes. The first movie was Charlton Heston was good. And now the second movie, I can't remember, there's another guy who took over the role. I think the first two movies, and possibly the first three movies, weren't bad, but they weren't as good as the first movie, and then they went downhill a bit further. By the time they got to the end of the franchise, they were getting a bit lame.
Yeah.
So,
sadly, I think that was probably one of the reasons why Deadly Night isn't the last one. It didn't catch enough interest. I mean, it was pretty interesting, the fact that I did like the color arrangements and the fact that there were some people that didn't deserve. Oh yeah, I should mention in the last one, the Deadly Night, that a twisted priest gets killed in that one too. I forgot.
A bit bent,
He was a very not by the book priest.
Was naughty.
He was very naughty. Anyway, so as I said before, I think that one was probably the one that kind of fell flat with some people.
I mean,
I think that the fifth one did okay for itself by itself. Anyway. The fourth, not so much because of what I said. Third, not too bad, but not catching enough flies. And the second one, it was a bit flat because
it relied on a lot of flashbacks to make it work.
Yeah.
Anyway,
as I said before, the first one was the most interesting of ones.
Yeah. So there you go.
So you know how to find it, obviously. And as I said before, be sure to check which of these as you go along, so you don't end up getting Silent Night, Bloody Night instead of Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Anyway,
okay?
Whatever.
So just be careful how you pick the movie.
Sarah will give you a link to it anyway, and then they have
as I said before, be sure to remember the dates for these two. When they came out.
Go on Wikipedia or something. Silent Night, Deadly Night film series. And they'll have a list of all the movies, the dates, and the actors, the producers, directors. And then when you go hunting, you'll at least know what they look like.
Seeing as most of these came out during the 80s, that will be easy to find. And, of course, the last two came out in the 90s, obviously. The last two came out in the 90s, obviously. So
there was 84, 87, 89, 90, and 91,
And, of course, the 2012 came out last.
You got out of the cupboard and dusted off and had another go.
Yeah. Anyway. I should mention, when they were doing each of these movies, they kind of used each of the movies having an Easter egg back to the previous other movie, I should mention. You could hear it in the background whenever someone turns on the TV, wham, and then you hear, I recognize that bit of dialogue that came from the past Silent Night, Deadly Night movie.
Very nice.
I think they're trying to do it just to
Why don't you tell what the adverts were?
Yeah, good point.
Right. Okay,
anyway, you guys know where to find it, so it's time for you guys to actually check it out for yourself. And as I said before, it's not for everyone. If you don't like one of them, you just go check out one of your favorites.
But go for the first one. Yeah. Anyway, what I was going to say is, before I go, Merry Christmas, everybody, and make sure that you're not naughty, because Santa will come and get you.
Yeah, as Mike says,
whatever. Sounds good.
Have a good Christmas, everyone, and a Happy New Year, and everyone. So I'll see you guys next year in February, and I'll be sure to have plenty of new reviews for you guys then.
New ones, old ones, interesting ones, whatever. Yeah.
We'll try to pack it as much stuff as we can.
We won't do the Barbie movie.
No effing way. I'm not going to do that.
Not coming in my microphone.
That's one movie I'm not going to review on this channel. All right. Thanks for...
we could. We need a bad movie.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, that's it from us, guys. So I hope you guys have a good Christmas coming up.
Yeah, guys, you have a really good one. Look, if you guys are going to hit the party scene, be careful, honestly.
Not too much on the eggnog, folks.
Eggnog, not worry about the bloody eggnog, but the scotch, beer, everything else.
Didn't anyone tell you, Mike?
Wacky tobacco or something or other, just be careful. Get someone to drive you home.
What? But didn't anyone ever tell you, Mike, that the eggnog has a bit of alcohol in it?
I know, but if one or two eggnogs isn't going to... won't float your boat like half a bottle of bourbon. Okay,
that's true.
So be careful. Get someone who's safe and sober to drive you home.
All right. Thanks, everyone. So see you guys next time, and I hope you have a good Christmas. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.